we are still on Jack Will's part, so this is all from his perspective. Letters, emails, Facebook, texts. So these are in email format for these 2 pages. December 18th. Dear Mr. Tushman, I am very, very sorry for punching Julian. It was very, very wrong for me to do that. I am writing a letter to tell him that too. If it's okay, I would really rather not tell you why I did what I did because it doesn't really make it right anyways. Also, I would rather not make Julian get in trouble for having said something he should have not said. Very sincerely, Jack Will. December 18th. Dear Julian, I am very, 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 very sorry for hitting you. It was wrong of me. I hope you're okay. I hope your grown-up tooth grows in fast. Mine always do. Sincerely, Jack Will. December 26th. Dear Jack, thank you so much for your letter. One thing I've learned after being a middle school director for 20 years, there are almost always more than 2 sides to every story. Although I don't know the details, I have an inkling about what may have sparked the confrontation with Julian. While nothing justifies striking another student ever, I also know good friends are sometimes worth defending. And this has been a tough year for a lot of students, as the first year of middle school usually is. Keep up the good work and keep being the fine boy we all know that you are. All the best, Lawrence Tushman, Middle School Director. Dear Mr. Tushman, I spoke with Amanda and John Will yesterday and they expressed their regret at Jack's having punched our son in the mouth. I am writing to let you know that my husband and I support your decision to allow Jack to return to Beecher Prep after a 2-day suspension. Although I think hitting a child would be valid grounds for expulsion in other schools. I agree such extreme measures aren't warranted here, and we have known the Will family since our boys were in kindergarten, and are confident that every measure will be taken to ensure that this never happens again. To that end, I wonder if Jack's unexpectedly violent behavior might have been a result of too much pressure being placed on his young shoulders. I am speaking specifically of the new child with special needs who both Jack and Julian were asked to befriend. In retrospect, and having now seen the child in question at various school functions and in the class pictures, I think it may have been too much to ask of our children to be able to process all of that. Certainly, when Julian mentioned he was having a hard time befriending the boy, we told him he was off the hook in that regard, and we think that the transition to middle school is hard enough without having to place greater burdens or hardships on these young, impressionable minds. I should also mention that as a member of the school board, I was a little disturbed that more consideration was not given during this child's application process to the fact that Beecher Prep is not an inclusion school, and there are many parents, myself included, who question that decision to let this child into our school. At the very least, I am somewhat troubled that this child is not held to the same standards and the application standards that everyone else is. Best, Melissa Albans. Dear Mrs. Albans, thank you for your email outlining your concerns. Were I not convinced that Jack Will is extremely sorry for his actions, and were I not confident that he would not repeat those actions, rest assured that I would not be allowing him back to Beecher Prep. As for your other concerns regarding our new student August, please note that he does not have special needs. He is neither disabled, handicapped, nor developmentally delayed in any way. So there is no reason to assume anyone would take issue with his admittance to Beecher Prep. Whether it's an inclusion school or not, in terms of the application process, the admissions director and I both felt it within our right to hold the interview offsite at August's home for reasons that are obvious. And we felt that his slate-breaking protocol was warranted, but in no way of right or wrong. August is an extremely good student and has secured that friendship of some truly exceptional young people, including Jack Will. At the beginning of the school year, when I enlisted certain children to be a welcoming committee to August, I did so as a way of easing his transition into a school environment. I did not think asking these children to be especially kind to a new student would place any extra burdens or hardships on them. In fact, I thought it would teach them a thing or two about empathy and friendship and loyalty. As it turns out, Jack Will didn't need to learn any of these virtues. He already had them in abundance. Thank you again for being in touch. Sincerely, Lawrence Tushman. Hi, Melissa. Thank you for being so understanding about this incident with Jack. He is, as you know, extremely sorry for his actions. I hope you do accept our offer to pay Julian's dental bills. We are very touched by your concern regarding Jack's friendship with August. Please know we have asked Jack if he felt any undue pressure about any of this, and the answer was a no. He enjoys August's company and feels like he has made a good friend. Hope you have a happy new year, John and Amanda Will. Hi August, Jackalope Will wants to be your friends with you on Facebook. Hey August, it's me, Jack Will. I notice I'm not on your friends list anymore. Hope you friend me again because I'm really sorry. I just wanted to say that sorry. And I know why you're mad at me now. I'm sorry I didn't mean the stuff I said. I was so silly. I hope you can forgive me. Hope we can be friends again, Jack. One new text message. Got your message. You know why I'm mad at you now? Did Summer tell you? So that was from August, and now this is in a texting format. Jack Will. She told me bleeding scream as a hint, but I didn't get it at first. And then I remember seeing bleeding scream in homeroom or Halloween. Didn't know it was you though. I thought you were coming as Boba Fett. One new text message from August. I changed my mind at the last minute. Did you really punch Julian? One new text message from Jack Will. Yeah, I punched him and knocked out a tooth in the back, a baby tooth. Why did you punch him? I don't know. Liar, I bet he said something about me, right? He's a jerk, but I was a jerk too. Really, really sorry for what I said, dude, okay? Can we be friends again? Okay. Awesome. But tell me the truth, okay? Would you really wear a hood over your face if you were me? No, I swear on my life, dude. Dude, we're friends again. Alright, next chapter, back from winter break. Despite what Tushman said, there was no clean slate when I went back to school in January. In fact, things were totally weird from the second I got to my locker in the morning. I'm next to Amos, who's always been a pretty straight up kid, and I was like, yo, what up? And he basically just nodded a half hello and closed his locker door and left. I was like, okay, that was bizarre. And then I said, hey, what up, to Henry, who didn't even bother half smiling but just looked away. Okay, so something's up. Dissed by 2 people in less than 5 minutes. Not that anyone's counting, I thought I'd try one more time with Tristan, and boom, same thing. He actually looked nervous, like he was afraid of talking to me. I've got a form of the plague now, is what I thought. This is Julian's payback. And that's pretty much how it went all morning. Nobody talked to me. Not true, the girls were totally normal with me, and August talked to me, of course. And actually, I have to say hello to both Maxes, and they said hello back, which made me feel kind of bad for never ever hanging out with them in 5 years. Lunch would be better, but it wasn't. I sat down at my usual table with Luca and Isaiah. I guess I thought since they weren't in a super popular group, but were kind of middle of the road jock kids, that I'd be safe with them. But they barely nodded when I said hello. Then when our table was called, they got their lunches and never came back. I saw them find a table way over at the end of the cafeteria, and they weren't at Julian's table, but they were near him, like on the fringe of popularity. So anyway, I'd been ditched. I knew table switching was something that happened in the 5th grade, but I never thought it would happen to me. It felt really awful being at the table by myself. I felt like everyone was watching me. It also made me feel like I had no friends. I decided to skip lunch and go read in the library. The war. It was Charlotte who had the inside scoop on why everyone was dissing me. I found a note inside my locker at the end of the day. Me in room 301 right after school. Come by yourself, Charlotte. She was already inside the room when I walked in. Sup, I said. Hey, she said. She went over to the door, looked left and right, and then closed the door and locked it from the inside. Then she turned to face me and started biting her nail as she talked. Look, I feel bad about what's going on, and I just wanted to tell you what I know. Promise you won't tell anyone that I talked to you? Promise. So Julian had this huge holiday party over winter break, she said. I mean huge. My sister's friend had her sweet 16 at the same place last year, and there were like 200 people there. So I mean, it's a huge place. Yeah, and? Yeah, and, well, pretty much everybody in the whole grade was there. Not everybody, I joked. Right, not everybody, duh. But like, even parents were there, you know? Like, my parents were there. You know, Julian's mom is the vice president of the school board, right? So she knows a lot of people. Anyways, so basically what happened at the party was that Julian went around telling everyone that you had punched him because you have emotional problems. What? And that you would have gotten expelled, but his parents begged the school not to expel you. What? And that none of it would have happened in the first place if Tushman hadn't forced you to be friends with Augie. And he said that his mom thinks that you quote-unquote snapped under pressure. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. No one bought into that, right? I said. She shrugged. That's not even the point. The point is he's really popular, and you know my mom heard that his mom is actually pushing the school to review Augie's application to Beecher. Can she do that? It's about Beecher not being an inclusion school. That's the type of school that has all students of all kinds. Well, that's just silly, Augie. Augie doesn't have special needs. Yeah, but she's saying that if the school is changing the way they usually do things in some ways, but they're not changing anything. Yeah, they did. Didn't you notice that they changed the theme of the New Year art show? In past years, 5th graders painted self-portraits. But this year, they made us do those ridiculous self-portraits as an animal, remember? So big deal. I know. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying that's what she said. I know. This is all just so messed up. I know. Anyways, Julian said that he thinks being friends with Augie is bringing you down, and that for your own good, you need to stop hanging out with him so much. And if you start losing all your old friends, it'll be like a big wake-up call. So basically, for your own good, he's going to stop being your friend completely. Newsflash, I stopped being his friend completely first. He's convinced all the boys to stop being your friend. For your own good. And that's why nobody's talking to you. Well, you're talking to me. Yeah, well, this is more of a boy thing, she explained. The girls are staying neutral, except Savannah's group, because they're going out with Julian's group. But to everybody else, this is really a boy war. I nodded. She tilted her head to one side and pouted like she felt sorry for me. Is it okay that I told you all of this? She said. Yeah, of course. I don't care who talks to me or not, I lied. This is all just so silly. She nodded. Hey, does Augie know any of this? Of course not. At least not from me. And Summer? I don't think so. Look, I better go. Just so you know, my mom thinks Julian's mom is a total dummy. She said that she thinks people like her are more concerned about what their kids' class pictures look like than doing the right thing. You heard about the photoshopping, right? Yeah, that was just sick. Totally, she answered, nodding. Anyways, I better get going. I just wanted you to know what was up and stuff. Thanks, Charlotte. I'll let you know if I hear anything else, she said. Before she went out, she looked left and right outside the door to make sure that no one saw her leaving. I guess even though she was neutral, she didn't want to be seen with me. Switching tables. The next day at lunch, silly me, I sat down at a table with Tristan, Nino, and Pablo. I thought maybe they were safe because they weren't really considered popular, but they weren't out there playing D&D at recess either. They were sort of in-betweeners, and at first I thought I scored because they were basically too nice to not acknowledge my presence when I walked over to the table. They all said, hey, though I could tell that they looked at each other. But then the same thing happened that happened yesterday. Our lunch table was called, they got their food, and then they headed towards a new table on the other side of the cafeteria. Unfortunately, Mrs. G, who was the lunch teacher that day, saw what happened and chased after them. That's not allowed, boys, she scolded them loudly. This is not that kind of school. You get right back to your table. Oh, great. Like that was going to help. Before they could be forced to sit back down at the table, I got up with my tray and walked away really fast. I could hear Mrs. G call my name, but I pretended not to hear, and I just kept walking to the other side of the cafeteria behind the lunch counter. Sit with us, Jack. It was Summer. She and August were sitting at their table, and they were both waving over at me. Why I didn't sit with August the first day of school. Okay, I'm a total hypocrite, I know. The very first day of school, I remember seeing August in the cafeteria. Everybody was looking at him, talking about him. Back then, no one was used to his face or even knew that he was coming to Beecher. So it was a total shock for a lot of people to see him there on the first day of school. And most kids were even afraid to get near him. So when I saw him going into the cafeteria ahead of me, I knew that he would have no one to sit with. But I just couldn't bring myself to sit with him. I had been hanging out with him all morning long because we had so many classes together. And I guess I just kind of wanted a little normal time to chill with other kids. So when I saw him move to a table on the other side of the lunch counter, I purposely found a table as far away from there as I could. I sat down with Isaiah and Luca, even though I've never met them before, and we talked about baseball the whole time, and I played basketball with them at recess, and they became my lunch table from then on. I heard Summer had sat down with August, which surprised me because I knew for a fact that she wasn't one of the kids that Tushman had asked to be his friend. So I knew she was doing it just to be nice, and that was pretty brave. So now here I was sitting with Summer and August, and they were being totally nice to me as always. I filled them in about everything Charlotte had told me, except for the whole big part about having snapped under pressure of being Augie's friend, or the part about Julian's mom saying that Augie had special needs, or the part about the school board. I guess all I really told them about was how Julian had a holiday party and managed to turn the whole grade against me. It just feels so weird, I said, to not have people talking to you, pretending that you don't even exist. Augie started smiling. You think? He said sarcastically. Welcome to my world. Sides. So here are the official sides, said Summer at lunch the next day. She pulled out a folded piece of loose leaf paper and opened it. It had 3 columns of names. Jack's side. Jack, August, Reed, Max G, Max W. Julian's side. Miles, Henry, Amos, Simon, Tristan, Pablo, Nino, Isaiah, Luca, Jake, Roman, Ben, Emmanuel, Zeke, and Tom. Neutrals. Malik, Remo, Jose, Leaf, Rowan, Ivan, and Russell. How do you get this? Said Augie, looking over my shoulder as I read the list. Charlotte made it, Summer answered quickly. She gave it to me last period, and she said she thought you might know who was on your side, Jack. Yeah, not many people, that's for sure, I said. Reed is, she said, and the 2 Maxes. Great, the nerds are on my side. Don't be mean, said Summer. I think Charlotte likes you, by the way. Yeah, I know. Well, are you going to talk to her? Are you kidding? I can't, now that everybody's acting like I have the plague. The second I said it, I realized I shouldn't have said it. There was this awkward moment of silence. I looked at Augie. It's okay, he said. I knew about that. Sorry, dude, I said. No, they called it the plague, though, he said. I figured it was more like cheese touch or something. Oh, yeah, like in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, I nodded. The plague actually sounds cooler, he joked. Like someone could catch the Black Death of ugliness. As he said this, he made air quotes. I think it's awful, said Summer, but Augie shrugged while taking a big sip from his juice box. Anyways, I'm not going to talk to Charlotte, I said. My mom thinks we're all too young to be doing that anyways, she answered. Well, what if Reed had talked to you, I said. Would you talk to him? I could tell she was surprised. No, she said. I'm just asking, I laughed. She shook her head and smiled. Why? What do you know? Nothing. I'm just asking, I said. I actually agree with my mom, she said. I do think we're too young. I mean, I just don't see what the rush is. Yeah, I agree, said August. Which is kind of a shame, you know? He said this in such a funny way that the milk I was drinking came out of my nose when I laughed, which made us all totally crack up. August's house. It was already the middle of January, and we still hadn't even chosen what science fair project we were going to work on. I guess I kept putting it off because I just didn't want to do it. Finally, August was like, dude, we have to do this. So we went to his house after school. I was really nervous because I didn't know if August had ever told his parents about what we now called the Halloween incident. Turns out the dad wasn't even home and the mom was out running errands. I'm pretty sure from the 2 seconds I'd spent talking to her that Augie had never mentioned a thing about it. And she was super cool and friendly towards me. When I first walked into Augie's room, I was like, whoa, Augie, you have got a serious Star Wars addiction. He had ledges full of Star Wars miniatures and a huge The Empire Strikes Back poster on his wall. I know, right? He laughed. He sat down on a rolling chair next to his desk, and I plopped down on a beanbag chair in the corner. And that's when his dog waddled into the room right up to me. He was on your holiday card, I said, letting the dog sniff my hand. She, he corrected me, Daisy. You can pet her. She doesn't bite. When I started petting her, she basically just rolled over onto her back. She wants you to rub her tummy, said August. Okay, this is the cutest dog I have ever even seen, I said, rubbing her stomach. I know, right? She's the best dog in the world. Aren't you, girlie? As soon as she heard Augie's voice say that, The dog started wagging her tail and went over to him. "Who's my little girlie? Who's my little girlie?" Augie was saying as she licked him all over the face. "I wish I had a dog," I said. "My parents think that our apartment's too small." I started looking around at the stuff in his room while he turned on the computer. "Hey, you've got an Xbox? Can we play?" "Dude, we're here to work on the science fair project." "Do you have Halo?" "Of course I have Halo." "Please, can we play?" He logged onto the Beecher website and was now scrolling down Mrs. Rubin's teacher page through the list of science fair projects. "Can you see from there?" he said. I sighed and went to sit on a little stool that was right next to him. "Cool iMac," I said. "What kind of computer do you have?" "Dude, I don't even have my own room, much less my own computer. My parents have this ancient Dell that's practically dead." "Okay, well, how about this one?" he said, turning the screen in my direction so I would look. I made a quick scan of the screen and my eyes literally started blurring. "Making a sun clock," he said. "That sounds kind of cool," and leaned back. "Can't we just make a volcano? Everyone makes volcanoes." "Duh, because it's easy," I said, petting Daisy again. "What about how to make crystal spikes out of salt?" "Sounds boring," I answered. "So why'd you call her Daisy?" He didn't look up from the screen. "My sister named her. I wanted to call her Darth. Actually, technically speaking, her full name is Darth Daisy, but we never really called her that." "Darth Daisy, that's funny." "Hi, Darth Daisy," I said to the dog, who rolled onto her back again for me to rub her tummy. "Okay, this one is the one," said August, pointing to a picture on the screen of a bunch of potatoes with wires poking out of them. "How to build an organic battery made out of potatoes. Now that's cool. It says here you could power a lamp with it, and we could call it Spud Lamp or something. What do you think?" "Dude, that sounds way too hard. You know I'm not the best at science." "Be quiet, you're just fine at science." "I got 54 on my last test." "I stink at science." "No, you don't. And that was only because we were still fighting and I wasn't helping you. But now I can help you. And this is a good project, Jack. We've got to do it." "Fine, whatever," I shrugged. Just then there was a knock on the door. A teenage girl with long, dark, wavy hair poked her head inside the door. She wasn't expecting to see me. "Oh, hey," she said to both of us. "Hey, Via," said August, looking back at the computer screen. "Via, this is Jack. Jack, this is Via." "Hey," I said, nodding hello. "Hey," she said, looking at me carefully. I knew the second Augie said my name that he had told her about the stuff that I had said about him. I could tell from the way that she looked at me. In fact, the way that she looked at me made me think she remembered me from that day at Carvel on Amherst Avenue all those years ago. "Hey, I have a friend I want you to meet, okay?" she said. "He's coming over in a few minutes." "Is he your new boyfriend?" August teased. Via kicked the bottom of his chair. "Just be nice," she said, and left the room. "Dude, your sister's beautiful," I said. "I know. She hates me, right? You told her about the Halloween incident?" "Yeah." "Yeah, she hates me, or yeah, you told her about Halloween?" "Both," I said. "Boyfriend." 2 minutes later, the sister came back with this guy named Justin. Seemed like a cool enough dude. Longish hair, little round glasses. He was carrying a big, long, shiny silver case that ended in a sharp point on one end. "Justin, this is my little brother August," said Via. "And that's Jack." "Hey guys," said Justin, shaking our hands. He seemed a little nervous. I guess maybe it was because he was meeting August for the first time. Sometimes I forget what a shock it is the first time you meet him. "Cool room. Are you Via's boyfriend?" Augie asked mischievously, and his sister pulled his cap down over his face. "What's in your case?" I said. "A gun?" "Ha," answered the boyfriend. "That's funny." "No, it's a fiddle." "Justin's a fiddler," said Via. "He's in a band." "Creole's the kind of music they play in Louisiana," he said to me. "Are you from Louisiana?" I asked. "No, he answered, pushing up his glasses. "I'm from Brooklyn." I don't know why this made me want to laugh. "Come on, Justin," said Via, pulling him by the hand. "Let's go hang out in my room." "Okay. See you guys later. Bye," he said. "Bye." As soon as they left the room, Augie looked at me smiling. "I'm from Brooklyn," I said, and we both started laughing hysterically. So the next part we'll be reading is part 5, and it's from Justin's perspective. So Justin is Via's new friend. That's a boy that we just met. So it's all about his perspective on meeting Augie. Olivia's brother. The first time I meet Olivia's little brother, I have to admit, I was totally taken by surprise. I shouldn't be, of course. Olivia's told me about his syndrome, and she's even described what he looks like. But she's also talked about all of his surgeries over the years, so I guess I assumed he'd be more normal looking by now. Like when a kid is born with a cleft lip and has plastic surgery to fix it sometimes, you can't even tell except from the little scar above the lip. And I guess I thought her brother would have some scars here and there, but not like this. I definitely wasn't expecting to see this little kid in a baseball cap who's sitting in front of me right now. Actually, there are two kids sitting in front of me. One is a totally normal looking kid with curly blonde hair named Jack, and the other is Augie. I like to think I'm able to hide my surprise. I hope I do. Surprise is one of those emotions that can be hard to fake though. Whether you're trying to look surprised or not, or trying to look not surprised when you are. I shake his hand. I shake the other kid's hand. Don't want to focus on his face. Cool room, I say. Are you Via's boyfriend, he says. I think he's smiling. Olivia pushes down his baseball cap, and we talk about my music for a bit, and then Via's taking my hand and leading me out of the room. As soon as we close the door behind us, we hear them laughing. I'm from Brooklyn, one of them sings. Olivia rolls her eyes as she smiles. We've been together for 2 months now, and I knew from the moment I saw her, the minute she sat down at our table in the cafeteria, that I truly liked her. I couldn't keep my eyes off of her. Really, she's very beautiful, with olive skin and the bluest eyes I have ever seen in my life. At first, she acted like she only wanted to be my best friend, and I think she kind of gives off that vibe without even meaning to. Stay back, don't even bother. She looks you right in the eye when she talks to you, like she's daring you. So I just kept looking at her right in the eye too, like I was daring her right back. And then I asked her out, and she said yes. She's an awesome girl, and I love hanging out with her. She didn't tell me about August until our third date. I think she used the phrase an abnormality or abnormality. I don't know which word it was, but she didn't use the word deformed because that word would have registered with me. So, what do you think? She asked me nervously. The second we're inside her room. Are you shocked? No, I lie. She smiles and looks away. You're shocked. I'm not, I assure her. He's just like what you said he'd be. She nods and plops down on her bed. Kind of cute how she still has a lot of stuffed animals on her bed. She takes one of them, a polar bear, without thinking and puts it in her lap. I sat down on the rolling chair by her desk. Her room is immaculate. When I was little, she says, there were lots of kids who never came back for a second play date. I mean lots of kids. I even had friends who wouldn't come to my birthdays because they would know that he would be there. And they never actually told me this, but it would get back to me somehow. Some people just don't know how to deal with Augie, you know? I nod. It's not even like they are trying to be mean, she adds. They were just scared. And I mean, let's face it, his face is a little scary at times. I guess, I answer. But you're okay with it? She asks me sweetly. You're not too freaked out or scared? I'm not freaked out or scared, I smile. She nods and looks down at the polar bear on her lap. I can't tell whether she believes me or not, but then she gives the polar bear a hug and a kiss on the nose, and then tosses it to me with a little smile. I think that means she believes me, or at least she wants to believe me. Valentine's Day. I give Olivia a heart necklace for Valentine's Day, and she gives me a messenger bag she's made out of her floppy old disc. Very cool how she makes things like that. Earrings out of pieces of circuit board, dresses out of t-shirts, bags out of old jeans. She's very creative. And I tell her that she should be an artist someday, but she wants to be a scientist. A genetics scientist of all things. She wants to find cures for people like her brother, I guess. We make plans for me to finally meet her parents at a Mexican restaurant on Amherst Avenue near her house on a Saturday night. All day long I'm nervous about it, and when I get nervous, my tics come out. I mean, my tics are always there, but they're not like they used to be when I was little. Nothing but a few hard blinks now. The occasional head pull, but when I'm stressed, they get worse. And I'm definitely stressing about meeting her folks. They're waiting inside when I get to the restaurant. The dad gets up and shakes my hand, and the mom gives me a hug. I give Augie a hello fist punch and kiss Olivia on the cheek before I sit down. "It's so nice to meet you, Justin. We've heard so much about you." Her parents couldn't be any nicer. They put me at ease right away. And the waiter brings over the menus, and I notice his expression the moment he lays eyes on August. But I pretend not to notice, and I guess we're all pretending not to notice things tonight. The waiter, my tics, the way August crushes the tortilla chips on the table and spoons the crumbs into his mouth. I look at Olivia and she smiles at me. She knows, she sees the waiter's face. She sees my tics. Olivia's a girl who sees everything. We spend the entire dinner talking and laughing. Olivia's parents ask me about my music, how I got into the fiddle and stuff like that. And I tell them about how I used to play the classical violin, but I got into Appalachian folk music. And now I play this kind of music, and they're listening to every word, like they're really interested. And they tell me to let them know the next time my band's playing a gig so that they can come listen. I'm not used to all the attention, to be truthful. My parents don't have a clue about what I want to do with my life. They never ask. And we never talk like this. I don't think they even know that I traded my violin for an 8-string fiddle 2 years ago. After dinner, we got back to Olivia's for some ice cream, and their dog greets us at the door, an old dog, super sweet. She'd thrown up all over the hallway, though. Olivia's mom rushed to get paper towels, while the dad picks the dog up like she's a baby. "What's up, old girlie?" he says, and the dog's in heaven, tongue hanging out, tail wagging. "Dad, tell Justin how you got Daisy," says Olivia. "Yeah," says Augie. The dad smiles and sits down in a chair with the dog still cradled in his arms. It's obvious he's told this story lots of times, and they all love to hear it. "So I'm coming home from the subway one day," he says, "and a homeless guy I've never seen in the neighborhood before is pushing this floppy mutt in a stroller, and he comes up to me and says, 'Hey, mister, want to buy my dog?' Without even thinking about it, I say, 'Sure, how much do you want?' And he says, $10. So I give him the $20 I have in my wallet, and he hands me the dog. Justin, I'm telling you, you've never smelled anything so bad in your life. She stank so much that I couldn't even tell you. So I took her right away to the vet down the street, and then I brought her home. Didn't even call me first, by the way," the mom interjects as she cleans the floor, "to see if I'm okay with his bringing home some homeless guy's dog." The dog actually looks over at the mom when she says this, like she understands everything everyone is saying about her. She's a happy dog, like she knows she lucked out the day finding this family. I kind of know how she feels. I like Olivia's family. They laugh a lot. My family's not like this at all. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 4, and they pretty much despise each other. I grew up spending half of every week in my dad's apartment in Chelsea, and the other half in my mom's place in Brooklyn Heights. I have a half-brother who's 5 years older than me and barely knows I exist. For as long as I can remember, I felt like my parents could hardly wait for me to be old enough to take care of myself. You can go to the store by yourself. Here's the keys to the apartment. It's funny how there's a word like overprotective to describe some parents, but no word that means the opposite. What word do you use to describe parents who don't protect enough? Underprotective? Neglectful? Self-involved? Lame? All of the above. Olivia's family tell each other I love you all the time. I can't remember the last time anyone in my family said that to me.